Good morning. I don't know where everybody is this morning, but not here. So we're just gonna roll with what we got, as we do. Um, you know, so it'll be some time. I haven't heard anything from Matt. I saw Matt, the beautiful Matthew, yesterday. He was doing well for anyone that cares, and you all should care because he's a beautiful, beautiful man. Um, and then we were maybe gonna have somebody on this morning, but I haven't heard from either one. And it's 10 a.m. It's a good time, get down time. Um, Bear with me as I'm painting simultaneously, poorly, I might add. So I wanted to cover a couple things this morning because I've had some thoughts. No prayers as of yet, just thoughts. And it's for what I'm painting. Um, Let me make myself big. Oh shit, there he is. That's what I'm painting right now.
Oh, nice.
Because it's going to go in a fucking Stratos boy body, and I'm going to make the Sky Sphinx. That's what I decided to call him.
All right.
He's going to be an evil Sphinx guy who is from Pre-Eternia, who at one point ruled over the avians. And either he'll stay in Pre-Eternia stuff. I mean, it's not like it really matters to me at all, but I don't know, it's just kind of the headcanon. Um, so I'm trying to get the skin color, I guess. And I'm gonna fist fight with skin colors this morning. So because I mean, my wife was like, didn't like the skin color on this head compared to this body. So I repainted it this morning, and I feel like it matches better. But God, is it still light? Or it was darker. Now it's just fucking. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a process. I mean, it's hard to tell from what I can see. It does look too light.
God damn it. All right. Well, it went from too dark to too light because, we can't have nice things.
Right.
Matthew, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. Got up early this morning with Beard. We worked on the new Star Wars intro.
Nice.
He's doing some final touches. So that's also something I want to talk about this morning. So we're changing up Star Wars.
Oh.
Not for any bad reason, but we had kind of talked and was like, is this really still Hidden Path? Are we still doing that? It's like, not really. So we literally, like, while we're working on figuring out the video stuff, we're talking as we're both want to do because we're chatters.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, well, if it's not Hidden Path, it should probably have a different name. So we brainstormed a whole bunch.
Oh, hey, Shaggy.
Shaggy! Super Spike! We brainstormed a whole bunch. Also, I want your opinions on this. I'm going to guess this is too dark, but how's that look? Oh,
Looks
God.
pretty close.
Why? Why, screen? Why you hate? Just get off me and zoom in on this.
Doesn't want to.
But I want it to.
Yeah, well.
Do my bidding!
Technology, baby.
I'm keeping the gray on the side because I think I'm going to turn it like into a gold chainmail. All the little bumpy boys on the side.
Okay.
And then I got to do the mouth, of course, because the mouth is just not painted. Anyway. What was I talking about, Matt? I'm so sorry. My brain is
Hidden Path.
Talking a lot about like the Gree Enclave. Or what is the new Gree Enclave and all these other like races that are on that planet and that the PCs are on now. And kind of like trying to like just protect their space.
Yeah.
Where things are going. So we were kind of like Well, that sovereignty doesn't sound like a bad word to use. The other thing is like since I'm about ready to introduce the chist, um, James was saying that one of the book titles for Timothy Zahn's like last what? Okay, you do you, boo. Um, anywho, um, so let's throw this bad boy on the streams. Well, I thought Duke was going to be with us. He still may pop in. He is on the West Coast, so that means it's 8
Yeah.
a.m. And he also his job is pretty chaotic to say the least. When you're the king, sometimes shit flows downhill, um, or uphill. Excuse me. It always flows downhill to some degree. So we changed the name. I don't know if I can just show it or not. Let's make this small. Let's hide this. Oh. Let me see if I can show the thing just so Matt can see it too, and I don't have to then be like, oh man, didn't look at my thing. Because I will be that way.
As is you're right.
All right. Share screen. I'm actually going to share the audio. So let's see if this works.
Yeah, I would think it would, but
and since it's my audio, it cannot be copyrighted because I'm terrible at audio. All right, bye. Well, why isn't it sharing show on stream? All right. So the end is, of course, that's where we got to do some business there at the end and put our stuff in. But overall, not bad.
yeah.
So this is the old music. Ain't nothing changed. But I think it fits better with what we got on it now. So I don't know. At the end, it'll have the logo and the characters and all that good stuff. But James working on that this morning. We started working on it at like 7, so I'm tired. I did the video for like 2 hours yesterday, and I had to restart because I started using a new program that Doug showed to me, and I was like, oh, this is yeah, this is good. And then the more I fiddled with it, the more I was like, I'm gonna have to redo all that stuff, huh? All that stuff that I did is gonna have to get redone because it's in a different program now. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Fuck
I mean,
me.
yeah, that's the price one pays, I guess, for the. But if the
For
program is better or easier to begin,
yeah, it's yeah. In between episodes of Severance, we came in and looked at it. So yeah, I like it. Well, I'd like to have it done for tomorrow. We'll see what happens. You know, Beardsky has D&D today with the fam, so I don't know what if he'll get in a lot of time. But to wrap his end of things up, we'll see.
yeah,
But yeah, that's kind of where things are. So we expect we're the name to change. Um, I'm happy with that idea. I think Beard's right. Don't tell him I said that. But I think he's right, and I think that's kind of where the direction should be. Um, all right, so that's Star Wars. Um, Tomorrow night should be good. It's should be interesting because we're doing some different stuff, and it should open with a banger.
yeah,
Um, which brings us to this other idea. I would like to see because we've got a solid three, sometimes four, depending on colonization,
yes,
depending on Colin's work schedule, which is changing. So hopefully that'll mean more Colin, which is good. If you see Colin online, tell him congratulations. He's been busting his ass and it's paying off for him. We should all applaud that, and we should all be supportive of our good retail daddy. Um, so what I would like to do though is, as we go through like little Arky boys, if people ever wanted to jump in and like do stuff, I think that'd be fun. Like to come
yeah.
on and play a character for a couple episodes and then hop back out. So hopefully I can get some people interested in that and get them going in that direction. I think that would be cool. We'll see what happens. Um, Showcase.
Yes.
We got a solidified date. The beautiful and wonderful Mitch Falcone
Hmm.
sent out some days he can do it. We're just waiting on your humble hunk of fabulousness, Matthew, and the illustrious Colin to confirm, and then we'll pick a date, and we'll probably record these, not do them live. And maybe we'll try to figure out some type of music and opening thing, and then we'll just release them one at a time later. That way we don't have to do them on a like we could just do them
Do
on a
yeah.
like on a day where everybody's off. I think recording them and then releasing them will be more fun that way. But although we won't have the cool interaction with people, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it in the chat a little bit, like in the Discord. Um, Holy shit! Well, you can really see that today. Fuck me.
What am I seeing?
That eye
Oh.
scar. It just it's I can see it. And maybe it's because like when I look up, sometimes it looks like my eyes aren't even, but because they're not. But yeah. Anyway, geez, sometimes when I see it on a camera, it just freaks me out. Um, the big thing is, and I want chat. I'm always involved. I'm always interested in your thoughts on this, and I'm especially interested in Matt's. Uh, this I have a tendency to plan wildly, like to extrapolate out to a million fucking degrees to a point of stuff I'm never going to get to that has no
I,
point in me spending hours and hours and hours of conjecture on. Um, so,
no point.
is there a good way to not overreach?
Um, I, I mean, I'm not sure I'm the guy to tell you or to suggest, since
Oh,
I
but I'm asking you. I'm
but
asking
I
you to,
overreach because
you
I
know.
overreach in my ways.
Well, I mean, I think we all overreach to some degree, but I think one of the nice things is when you have the opinion of others who aren't as invested in that like thing
Mm.
you're doing. Sometimes they have a better perspective and a better ability to be like, yeah, dude, you need to pump the fucking brakes here, son.
Well, and that's tough though, because you don't want to, like, if something comes along and you're really into it, like, it feels silly to me to just not. I guess it's really down to how you want to spend your time. I mean, if you enjoy it, then I don't
It's,
see
it,
a problem.
so it's not that I don't enjoy it. I think it's more just like when I'm talking about overreach, I mean more overreach in the game
Mm,
where you're like dropping so much stuff in and like Easter eggs and potentialities that you lose track of like what are we doing.
okay,
Um,
so it's the X-Men problem. It's
yes, well put, well put.
especially when you get that Claremont to Lobdell transition, and it's like, okay, what were you seeding all this stuff for? Never mind, screw it.
Yeah, I kind of want to think about it in some ways as if I am a writer with a short editorial leash that I can
Uh-huh.
get pulled off the book at any time instead of part of my problem is I'll take the liberty of like, well, it's my thing, so I can go as hard as I want on this.
Right,
But the reality is too, sometimes you get lost in your own sauce.
Chris Claremont.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing in Chris Claremont where there's, you have a massive following and people will just do whatever you want, because they think you've got a plan.
Yeah,
Um,
but sometimes you also introduce Hardcase and the Harriers and never do anything with them, and nobody gives a shit.
for me, I'm like, I don't want to do all that and lay a bunch of stuff and then never get to it because I know for me, when I do that, I get really frustrated with myself
Ah,
because it's like, well, why did you do that? Like that little weird shit you did there,
and you're letting your collaborators drive as much as you are.
or
Uh,
in Stan's case, let everybody drive and then just take credit for
well,
it. Sorry, not sorry. All
um,
right. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it. So like, just plan it.
about it. So yeah, rough stuff out. Um, give it, have a frame, but as far as what's in that frame, like the players are going to drive that, and then the story is going to drive that, and I think to have some ideas, but don't you know
Don't overseed, but also don't. I think I get what you're laying down, man.
well, and think about, okay, sure, you know Stan is Stan, um, but like, all right, so you throw a rough plot out there or whatever, um, and Jack pencils it, and you get it back, and now there's this nude man on a surfboard that wasn't in your framework, and now you've got to do something with that
Yeah.
that you weren't even expecting to. Um,
I think sometimes the problem with that becomes for me, and this is just a me problem. This is not an everybody else problem. Is I end up being the person throwing the nude man on the surfboard to the players when it should be the players throwing the nude man on the surfboard to me. Does that make
I don't
sense?
I don't think that either option is inherently good or bad.
Okay.
Um, I think it's more just a matter of how you're dealing with it. It can't be like, the Stan saw that in there, roll with it. He wasn't like, okay, Vince, do what you do and ink this out. Like, we don't need this guy. It's like, all right, I'm gonna figure out who this guy is, and take what I've been given and work with it and put it in there. And then create a character that's existed for the next 16 years or whatever. So I mean, it's you're collaborating, you're working Marvel method, or you maybe got a little bit of that. I can't remember who all has used the description or the thought about it, but I know Larry Hama has with like, I don't know what these characters are going to do until they do it.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I think I think one of the things is I think like I planned so much already, like just on prep schools, us talking about it, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm so like, well, I have to get all this in, but the reality is you don't. I think that's where the hard thing is for me sometimes, is going, okay, hey, you had a great time talking about that. If it happens, that's amazing, but if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Well, I understand the frustration, especially since you put the work in, and you're worried that you might not remember when time does come.
Jesus Christ, that's yeah.
To actually use the stuff, but I do feel like I don't know what the best way to keep track of that stuff is.
Well,
But I
if I
feel
was organized, it would be a Notion, but I'm not organized, so I'm not doing that.
okay.
James has repetitively been like, dude, you should use a Notion and just do that. I mean, you're the one that showed me to do it, and I do it, and you still don't do it. It's like, yeah, I know.
Well, maybe, I mean, if it really depends on what your goal is, then, because maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more just trying to, for me right now, it's trying to figure out like how high to aim. Like I had someone say this week, and I thought it was very well said, and I'm gonna steal it. It's like I always aim for the moon, but I'm just happy to land on the roof.
Well, there you go. Here's Spike with a suggestion.
Okay, first, I'm sorry, guys. I'm slow on stuff today.
No.
Because I'm painting this guy's head while we talk. um. That's fair. Yeah, it's prep school probably. Yeah, Colin is really. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good in the stream of consciousness. I think what I get kind of frustrated with myself about is like to have like planned all this stuff and like wanting it to sufficiently like move smoothly between itself, and then it doesn't, and I have to kind of repetitively remind myself that that's not how RPGs work.
That's not how most stories work.
And also it shouldn't work like that, because it is collaborative storytelling. If it
Yeah.
worked that way, it wouldn't be collaborative.
Well,
Ooh,
I mean, think about
that
like,
gold looks flipping good with him.
oh yeah, but yeah. Think about like some of the stuff that like Al Ewing has done at Marvel, where it's like, oh, you had way more. This was going to go a lot longer.
Yeah.
You had a lot more here, and you were told you don't get to do that now. And they had to, pop it into a freaking, cut it, drop 15 issues out of this plan.
What was that from?
I mean, I don't know that was exactly, the specificity is probably unwarranted there. But like his Avengers Incorporated book,
Oh yeah.
like there was a lot like kind of seated there, and I could tell it was like this was going to take long. He was going to tease this out.
Well, I know like his Ultimates book was to me felt like that as well. Like I've got other stuff I want, and that's why I got picked up in other books though too.
Yeah.
But that's a good way of looking at it. I just don't always do that really well, so I'm always happy when people can kind of give me examples, but at the same time not be like, oh yeah, you definitely shit the bed on that.
Well,
But
I think for a lot of that stuff too, it's, I mean, again, it's all organization and figuring out how to use it again. But if you put it aside in a place where it's like, okay, I didn't get to use this here. I might not get to use it the next one, but the one after that or the one after that, it might be the just what I need.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I end up doing a lot of that, like reworking things I've had like in the hopper for a while, a lot. Um, there's just something like really satisfying though about like seeing things come to a fruition. I mean, all of you guys, who do creative endeavors, which is all of you, Matt, you do a lot of amazing, modifications, and I've played games with you, and I know that you are a very, very, very good storyteller. Whether you want to take that compliment or not. Um,
I mean, you've given it, so it doesn't matter whether I take it or not. It's
it's too late now.
there in the world.
This done happened. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just having a little bit of a crisis of faith about it this week. So
Yeah, it happens. I
if,
mean,
if you watched if you watched Chaos Scar yesterday, no, was that yesterday? No, yesterday was Saturday. Friday.
hmm
One thing I brought up at the end, this I guess just dovetails into that, was like, hey, do we want to keep doing what we're doing? So originally that game was built to be a troop style play,
yeah,
no less than 3 players, and it's a lot of like, well, here's your options of where you can go and what you can kind of do. And that hasn't been that way for, I would say, ah, probably a good, probably a good third of the run of it so far. Um, which is fine. It doesn't like that. That in itself doesn't bother me.
yeah,
Um, I but what I found is, because I also at one point wanted to do that Take Me Home Old Fay Roads, and that never really came to fruition because I couldn't get players. Um, which again, is what it is. Getting players and having everyone having time and everything like that is
that's a trick.
it's virtually impossible. Um,
And
so
yeah, Super Spike for All Out of Bubblegum, it's more just like, well, for the last one, it was like, oh, I'm just going to make them play through this movie I saw and try
yeah,
and keep it on the rails. The first one, I had a few things that I was kind of like thinking about, and it was more just like, okay, how do I get stuff crammed in? And the big thing with the All Out of Bubblegum stuff for Extra Life is trying to keep it on track time wise. Because you still
hmm
want to have a satisfying build and conclusion and all that stuff. And when um, when you've got players playing, it can be hard, and you don't want to overly railroad stuff.
well,
Um,
you need Hans Gruber to fall off Nakatomi Plaza by the time it's time to move on to the next game.
right. Um,
And that's hard sometimes to try to do when everybody's like wanting to get their shit in.
yeah, and people are having fun. You don't want to, um, limit that, and that's one of the things with the streaming and the schedule and stuff is there's not really that flexibility to be like, oh, well, everybody's having fun, let's just keep rocking. It's like, well, no, we got to get in and get out. And that's fine. It's a different, way of thinking, a different set of skills. Um, so I'm not against it. It just was. It's been an interesting challenge.
Well, again, I think that those games too. Those games feel more like a fun exercise in like, can I do this? Can I keep things going? Can I keep it fun? Can I keep the chaotic nature of it? moving. Like that's one of the things I love about a game like that. And in some of the PBTA games like Mount Monsters, our Mount Monsters game too,
Yeah.
is like, can I keep it as chaotically on the rails as I possibly can to meet the not so much a story, but meet the time requirements.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because you also don't want to limit yourself too much because you could just, freaking put a timer up on your screen or whatever, and then be like, well, this much time is up. The Sasquatch or the bad guy or whatever is just gonna Kool-Aid man into the situation right now because that's just where we're at time wise.
And I've played games where we've had timers like out because people are slow making decisions and it bogs the game down. And I've threatened to put timers out before on different people because of that. But I also find like just having that natural occurrence of like, the things at the door banging on the door, you realize the door isn't going to stay up too much longer. What do? Ends up being far more satisfactory to me than.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's more like when I've been doing that stuff, it's a lack of experience and being able to like incorporate that stuff in a more natural way. Incorporating it into the story rather than just being like, shit, it's time for something.
Well, that's one key to remember too is like you are coming at it from a very fresh perspective, so you're picking it up as you go, and it's amazing. And that's one of my favorite things is to watch people who haven't run before run and see them like pick those things up so quickly and efficiently and be so goddamn good at it. Makes me go, why am I not better at this? And I've been doing this like my entire basic life now. I mean, except for when I was a tiny boy. When I was a tiny boy, I wasn't doing it, but you get what I'm saying. Because it's amazing to me. It's one of my favorite things to see when we play anything is to see yourself or like, and I know Colin's not like it's not like Colin hadn't run before, or especially James when James started running was like to see that moment of like the light switch on and then one of you go, oh shit, okay, this is the creative way I'm going to problem solve my way out of this. And I think it's so cool to see that happen. Um, and it's not like a proud papa moment, but it is definitively like a fun, like I have done my duty to games by getting someone involved in this and watch them flourish and watch the story become so much fun for everyone involved.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Yeah, hey, you roll dice. We got shit to do. So when it comes to, oh shoot, I wasn't sharing this at all. When it comes down here to Chaos Scar, we had a
Yes.
conversation at the end, and it was kind of like, do you like what we're doing? Because this is no longer what we planned on doing.
Right.
This is something different. Um, and the thing I was kind of surprised by is neither of the two players I have, because it's turned into a two-player game primarily. And I was very much like, well, I don't want to run for two players. But one thing I've realized now is I'm having fun running for two players.
Nice.
If more people show up, that's cool.
Right.
But one reason I've been more like, I don't know if what we were doing was going to work for two players is because for two players, I find that it can't just be every session can't be a romp.
Mm.
Can't be, I mean, it can, but to me, like, I wouldn't have fun with that.
Yeah.
If it's just like a mission based every session with the same two characters, I'd be like, okay, well, this is just a video game.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing is when we had, the goal was to have different players like every three sessions, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's gone away too because we just don't have players anymore.
Yeah.
We just, I don't, for whatever reason, people's lives got busy, and some of the people who initially were very much like, I am fucking down to clown, very much are just not around anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's because, again, like I said, there's just circumstances changed. Um, unless I'm just an asshole and nobody told me. Um,
Why
which
not
could,
both?
which could also be true. Um, but I am so I built a lot more storytelling into it,
Yeah.
and a lot more like character based stuff. And I was surprised when I brought that up that neither of the players was like, "Oh yeah, I want to keep doing what we're doing now because like I'm very invested in these characters or whatever." Yeah, these, especially these NPCs and these relationships, especially because Cassandra, I mean, she's not gonna watch this, so I can talk shit. Um, Cassandra won't fight. She's she's role playing her ass off in this game, and she's got a lot of cool little things going on. You know, her deal with those with the goblin kids and all that. That's super interesting because that's not something I usually think about her being that interested in, from a role play perspective. Ryan's always down to clown when it comes to role playing.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the most endearing parts about him is he will grab a scene and chew the shit out of it if he can get away with it, um, for as long as you allow him. um, but I think I was surprised that neither one of them like jumped on that and were like, "Yeah, this is what I want to do."
Well, I mean, there is also, so I did see something they did like some, survey or whatever of what video game players, what do you like to do? And um like they said to like almost like a a person, like, I don't care about any of this romance shit.
Yeah,
And then I think it's something like 75% of the best-selling games on Steam are like romance
yeah,
games. So it's
yeah.
like, okay, so either people are lying or they don't know what they want.
I think it's, as Shaggy just said, I think it's a little column A, a little column B.
It probably is, yeah. I think for a lot of people it's like, and that's why the whole trend in you know, art and media and entertainment of, we're going to focus group everything to death and we're not going to try anything that's not a sequel and this, that, and the other. It's like, people don't know what they want. And yeah, not everything is going to succeed, but by just trying to do stuff that you've done before or that people tell you that they want, you're not going to actually do anything that interesting or with any kind of longevity.
So I'm going to go back to this because I think this is probably the best way I've seen anybody put it, and it's, I guess, how I put it in my mind without being able to express it. Um, Super Spike saying, "I like the original premise, but it kind of turned into an evolve or die situation because of player availability." I think that's straight up just fact.
Yeah.
So, um, I can answer the third point under Chaos Scar without hesitation. Yes. Okay. I really appreciate that. That means an awful lot. So yeah, it's kind of like it's morphed into parts of what Take Me Home Old Fay Roads was going to be, um, and then also just of course um, continuation of Chaos Scar as well, but more Fey stuff, more like weird. I'm really stretching the weird.
I mean,
I hope that that's working. You know,
if the players are liking it, I would say that that's the only thing that matters.
yeah. I mean, I hope they are. Again, it's hard to. It's not always easy to tell.
The
Um,
other thing I saw recently that also, well, yeah, that is a challenge. But if they keep coming back, um, yeah, there was some guy who just kept going after Steve Orlando on Blue Sky about how, you know, he's only buying the Scarlet Witch book because it's Scarlet Witch, and he hates the writing and the way they're treating the character and all that stuff. And he, eventually, Orlando is just like, "Hey, I get that you don't like it, and that's fine, but this book sells well, and there are a lot of people who do like it. So stop asking me like what it would take to get me off this book because I want to be here, and Marvel wants me to be here, and fuck you, basically."
Yeah, why would you? That's why I hate the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it's that level of just like, and credit to Steve for engaging as long as he did with this guy who is just like, and if you're somebody who I like the Scarlet Witch, I don't like this book, then don't buy the fucking book.
Yeah.
Um, if you're so like wrapped up in this that you feel like you have to buy a thing that you don't enjoy, like,
Fair.
um, that's not healthy.
No, you are a profoundly sad human being if that's where you're at with that in your life, where you're like, well, I'm only buying this because it's this, and then going on and on and on at a creator.
Well, yeah,
Um,
hating it apparently,
hate buy, yeah, you're hate buying it.
yeah,
At some point, it's you almost have to look at it as like, well, I already got your money, so fuck you.
yeah. Well, and I know some people like, well, they're looking for any excuse to stop doing minority led stuff, so everybody needs to go see Captain America. And it's like, I don't want to though.
Yeah,
Like, I'll watch it eventually. I've heard people, once it got past, out into the world, I saw a lot of people saying that they enjoyed it. But I don't care anymore about most of that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks that if it doesn't succeed, that they might use that as an excuse not to feature more diverse characters and stories. That would suck. I don't want them to do that, but it can't be my responsibility to go spend my money to see a thing that I don't want to see in the
Yeah,
hopes that they'll.
I vote with my dollar, is what I tell people all the time. I always try to vote with my dollar. However, I don't feel the need to vote with my dollar on something I wasn't going to spend money on to begin with.
Yeah,
I don't go to the theater. So I mean, if it doesn't work for that, if they don't end up getting more Sam Wilson Captain America movies, I'm not going to personally feel responsible for that. But at the same time, it's like if Disney, if that's the only metric they can go off of,
right.
then hey, it is what it is. They're not here to entertain us. They're here to cash checks.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
mean that's
I hate to be the one to say that, but it's true.
any entertainment is incidental.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to support Sam Wilson as Captain America, read the fucking comic book.
Mm.
Because that's where and read it if you like it.
Yes.
Um, like I am not really giving a shit about the Marvel movies and stuff. I'll see them when I see them. I still
Yeah.
haven't watched Deadpool yet. Hell, I still haven't watched a ton of the shows yet. I get to them as I get to them.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel bad about that because I am a big fan of a lot of that stuff and I do enjoy it and it's super cool to get it. And if I was a kid, I would be losing my fucking mind. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, fair. I mean, like that, your opinion right there, like makes me more interested in seeing it, Shaggy, because I trust your opinion. Um, so like your opinion matters more to me uh, than some dude on the internet telling me that it was woke or whatever. By the way, if I see that in the beginning, no one cares. But if I see that at the beginning of anyone's video or in their preview thing, I immediately just say I don't want
Oh yeah.
anything
You
from this
don't. Yeah.
channel because it's just what it tells me is like you're clickbaiting.
Yeah. You're not evaluating this on any sort of artistic um merit. You're not even. You don't. You probably don't even like this.
You have a pre-established agenda, and I don't agree with your pre-established agenda, so you can
Yeah.
Fuck right off. Um. So, but when friends tell me like, "Hey, this was entertaining. I found this to be delightful," then I'm gonna at least look at it. It's the same thing with like I look at it a lot way the way I look at wrestling. My what I like in wrestling is going to be different than a lot of other people's what they like in wrestling. But if someone says, "Hey, this match, I watched it and it was very good. Like it was very entertaining," um, or it was a match that if you like spot monkey stuff, this is what you want to watch. Then I'm going to probably give it a shot because someone I choose opinion I see merit in. I'm going to reach out and say, "Oh, okay, this person liked it, so
Yeah.
I trust their opinion enough to give it a go." Especially if you have an opinion and it's not just I like everything, because I,
Yes.
I I am friends with some folks who like everything. While and while I get that they're just very into what they're into, I am not.
Yeah.
I tend to be very, very
I try.
critical about
Well,
things.
I try to be like, if somebody asks me whether I enjoyed something, I'm gonna try and put it into the context of like, here's why I enjoyed this.
Yeah, that's a really good way of doing it.
Um,
I'm not
and
always
because
like,
I mean, I don't have a like, we've got a friend who doesn't really seem to like anything, or has kind of like an idea of like we saw, fuck, last night in Soho.
yeah, I haven't
Um,
seen that yet. I'm very interested in it though.
most of us enjoyed it, but like the one of the people who we went with was like, well, it was
Oh shit! Look who it is.
was like, oh,
The
it
Bella
isn't,
instigator himself.
it wasn't this. Um, and now, and so I didn't like it, and it's like, well, that's not what the movie they set out to make was. That wasn't the goal of the film. And so I mean, you can not like it, but not liking it because it wasn't the movie that you imagined it was going to be, that I don't agree with. Like, you need to have more than like that.
Well, I
Um,
mean, to me, when I hear people do that type of shit, I just go, then you should make a movie. If what you want is this and only this, cool. Make a fucking movie.
yeah,
Because this person made a movie and it's apparently not for you.
and
Well,
I mean, that's fine. I don't. Nobody has to like anything, but I think if you don't like something, you examine it on a greater level than you know. This wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
yeah, to me, that's just lazy. That's lazy thinking. It's selfish and lazy because you are not the entirety of the movie going public.
Right.
I mean, and unfortunately, Steve, the movie the movie companies don't give a shit about just what you think. Steve, um, you know, that just is what it is. But I mean, again, we've talked about it now probably far too much in the last like 2 weeks. I am not the total Bellas audience, but man, I have found myself very interested in it now because of people I know being like, or me seeing footage of John Cena being a fucking robot. Now I am like, hey Warrior, we should watch this together. Because now I want to watch this because I want to watch it with someone who enjoys it, not so I can shit on it, just because then I can at least get the insights of like, what does this mean?
Oh, sure. Like, I mean, if it hadn't been for uh, you know, the Dog Zone stuff, like I would never have tried Mountain Monsters. And like their love for it got me to be like, oh, I'm gonna give this a shot and kind of come at it from this angle.
Yes,
And
and my Mountain Monsters is only because you were like, hey, have you heard of Mountain? And I was like, no. And then you explained it. I was like, okay, I'm into that. I'm down for this.
yeah, it's like the way that we're enjoying that show probably isn't the way that the producers or cast or whoever thought it was going to be enjoyed.
Oh, I don't know. I think Colt Straub had a good idea.
Yeah, but seeing what else he's done
It's the same
leads me to
thing.
think that there might not be that much.
He's only done that. It's like he's only done the same thing, just different title.
Well, right, but the fact that it's just like I'm just going to keep doing variations on this, like shitty versions of this.
It's because it made money. It made
Well, right,
so
but I mean,
much money.
right, but I don't feel like I mean, I don't think there's any real like. I don't know that how much consideration there actually was in like, but
That's an interesting like. I think that's an interesting conversation to be had because is it like a matter of like they came to him and they were like, oh yeah, you can definitively keep making stuff for us, Colt Straub, if it's Mountain Monsters style, where it costs
also,
us absolutely nothing for us to make, and it's dumb and people will watch it.
well, so UFO Cowboys is a Roku show. And so the reason he's still doing that is because Roku is still buying it from him. Whereas Mountain Monsters is probably dead because um, Discovery or whoever doesn't want to do any more of it.
It's because Warner Discovery hates money.
Well, but so it's more just wit, and he's getting,
They hate money and they hate good things.
he's found work. Um, he's just going where they're going to pay him to do stuff. But
Yeah, he's a TV mercenary.
yeah, and hey,
More pound to him. He made a show that will live in our hearts forever.
yep.
He gave the world the fucking Ames team, and for that and that alone, he has my respect. Not all heroes wear capes. I just about went R.I.P. Colt Straub, but he's not dead. His career might be dead, but
I mean,
he's not.
for me, he only exists within the context of is
Episodes
is
of,
is he making Mountain Monsters or not? And he's not, so yeah, he might as well be dead.
look at that. I turned up. Hold on, I'm gonna make this. We're done with this, so I'm gonna close that. Shit, stop. Exit. Oh, oh. I feel like it turned out pretty good for just futzing around today. We snap it on, which I'm sure means something else somewhere. Show the head complete. I feel like that looks pretty good, considering what it looked like when I started.
Yeah, he's just been doing this shit forever.
Colt Straub?
Yeah,
Did you follow down the Colt Straub hole?
a little bit. Alaska Moose Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Doug and I threatened to watch that. We were like, we should watch this.
I don't know. Anyway, um,
oh god. Now I'm just catching up on all this shit that's come back before.
yes, I was disappointed to hear that. Very likely, there is no more Mountain Monsters happening. So
You never know.
you don't, but also, it's been fucking 4 years or something since the last.
Well, somebody died. Then there was a pandemic.
Yeah, and a writer's strike, and
And a
all
writer's
this and that.
strike. And yeah,
But
shockingly enough, apparently I show's writers.
well, because the it's a Discovery show.
Warrior, whenever you write things like this, it more and more makes me feel like you're someone who has escaped a nursing home. Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, if it wasn't on Discovery, I'd be like, oh, maybe they're gonna bring this back. But
Nice, Super Spike. James and I still have an entire thing of parts and heads for you, but that would require us doing stuff correctly. COJ prints that Josh Brown Customs dropped. That I don't know anything about.
there's a bunch of like Dave skull heads that Josh Brown did. I don't know if you're still in the, the Discord.
I was never in that Discord.
Oh,
I was never in that Discord. So, and Dave and I talk like once a week. I just am like very,
yeah.
I'm very like with that stuff.
I mean, I more just browse it
Well, I think,
than interact a ton. But
yeah, you're just a much better person than I am.
I don't know about that.
I tend to, when I get like flustered with something, and if I still like the person, but I don't, the thing upsets me for whatever reason, then I just go, I just will not, I will not interact with this thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm an adult and I do adult things. And I'm like, I'm a child and I act like a child.
Oh, for me, it's just I don't have the fucking energy or memory to hold any kind of a real grudge. I don't. I
It's
don't.
not a matter of grudge. I get, when I get frustrated, I have a hard time. Like, some of it's just me as a human, but some of it
Sure.
also is just like, now I'm just too much that way all the time. I get frustrated with something and I'm just like, I'm done with you, done with this, period. Exclamation.
I had a friend in the Joe collecting community, and we'd be at like a show or whatever. He'd mention somebody, he'd be like, "Oh man, I fucking hate that guy." I'd be like, "Why?" He'd be like, "I don't know."
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I don't want this to go back like Dave and someone would be like, "Oh man, Dave, they were saying how much he hated."
No. It was more just like
I instead what I'm trying to say is, like, that thing caused strife,
oh yeah,
and so rather than me being like feeling strife over it and being frustrated about that thing, I just don't engage with that thing. I'm excited for the person
yeah,
about that thing because that thing has gave them the ability to fucking, live the life they want to live and get to know the people they want to know. And I'm very proud of them. And it makes my heart blossom for them. But I don't think I can be a part of that because it makes
oh
me
no,
angry.
and
Also, like, I got a Filmation Ram Man, an extra one, so I could do a Hans hammer holder.
ooh,
Look at that fucking hammer holder head. He's just like, I'm a fucking dwarfy boy. I'm a chonky dwarf boy.
chonky dwarf boy,
He's just a chonky boy.
chonky boy.
Thank you. I was like, don't leave me hanging, Matt. So yeah, that's kind of where things are at. Chaos Scar will do what it's doing. I think we'll start planning for the episode after. Hopefully, the next episode ends our soap makers jamboree adventure. I don't know. I meant that to be maybe 2 parts, and it has turned into 3 for gleeful reasons. Like, all the shenanigans. Warrior, if you're still on here, I had no plans for you to do any of the stuff you've done in this entire thing, at all, and it's been a goddamn delight. Um, and yeah, and also, like, they circumvented a bunch of stuff I had planned just because Cassandra was like, "Oh, I'll just turn into a giant wolf spider and carry them down the cliffside," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Oh shit. We go down through these again. If it's just skeleton heads, I got skeleton heads. I'm getting rid of skeleton heads.
Skeleton has with beanies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have. I don't. It's like planning for the weather, Ryan. I don't plan for weather. I don't plan for Ryan. Ryan is something you experience. It's a warrior experience. So, chest plugs for cosmic legions. I don't know if I know what that is.
Well, because you don't collect cosmic legions.
No, I'm aware of the plug system for the legion stuff. I'm just not overly rote in it. And I think it's cool. And when people make cool stuff, I'm always like interested to hear about it. So I should probably just at least look at it. So I can exactly. Um,
Oh yeah.
uh, and then
Nobody nobody on the Chop and Chop stream knew who this was until I gave them several hints. I don't know that you'll recognize, but
it's Fred from Scooby Doo.
no, it is not.
It looks a lot like, or it's a grown up Dean Venture.
All right, so
It
this
looks like a grown up Dean, or no, grown up Hank Venture.
this is Ulysses Solomon motherfucking Archer, buddy. US1.
Oh shit! Now you say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So
I
yes,
see it. It looks good.
lots of that. And I finally got a head that I'm okay with for my half-assed Conan bash.
Nice.
Just gotta finish painting.
I like the fact that you made skinny Conan.
Well, this was more because I had the body and I had the old Toy Biz Conan
The 2-pack with what,
parts.
cool or something like that.
Bashed it onto a Namor body. So
Yeah, it looks good.
yeah, it's more Marvel, Conan, which I guess is what I want anyway.
Yeah, I mean I can see that. I like my Conan to be live like a panther rather than
The really just like massive
beast.
Yeah, like I can see the appeal, but it's not really
Not for me,
like
baby. Not for
ain't
me.
no
Ain't no boo like Sabu, daddy.
ain't no protein bars and macro biotics and fucking Hyboria, buddy. You're not maintaining that that bod.
Don't go in there. There's a bomb in there. So Kaskar will do some plotting for probably next Sunday. Star Wars, we'll probably have to do a little bit. Maybe Star Wars will be on the front burner a little bit next Sunday. Just because we're doing Star Wars Monday and then like a week being in between and then Star Wars again the Monday after that. So and I try to plan less for Star Wars. I've just got a bunch of stuff floating out there. So it's kind of like
you just need to know what you have. I don't know if you need
yeah.
to put a bunch of post-it notes or whatever.
Well, the problem, Matt, is you don't know what Matt. The problem is you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yes,
that's the real problem.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, you need a conspiracy wall.
No, I do not want a conspiracy wall.
Yeah, just like write a character name or a plot point or whatever on a post-it note and just put it up on the wall behind your monitor, so that as things are going, you can just be like, oh, and just pluck a little story fruit off your tree there. And
it's hard to pave Coruscant. It's already all paved. All like 99 levels of city on top.
Except for that one bit. I did like that in. Have you still not watched Andor?
No, I'm watching. I know in Tales from the Jedi there was a or no, Tales of it was Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith. Whatever one had the Dooku story in it, that when Yaddle finds him after he's found out about Qui-Gon, he's at a tree. Like
there's like that
park with one tree.
Yeah, there's like that park. It's like a tree and some rock, and it's like
and
you go.
Yeah, because he was born on Coruscant, he'd never seen a forest, which really made me kind of sad.
Yeah, that would suck.
It made me really sad, and also like I always find Dooku to be so interesting because on one hand he's kind of space fascist, and on the other hand he's like dad who lost a kid. And like so he's like almost like Charles Bronson in a way. He's like he's like Death Wish Charles Bronson if his daughter had been a son and had been murdered, but then he helps the murderers later. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. Because it is very much like Qui-Gon's, and there's a whole thing in that where he goes at Sidious and is like, well, Qui-Gon Jinn's dead. Like, this was not supposed to fucking happen. I don't know. It's the evil through the best of intentions, I think, or in his mind, best. I don't know. I find him to be an interesting character because of all that. It's like there's something about like this idea of like faux nobility that kind of I don't know. He's a Jedi who feels like he's more Arthurian than anything else.
Mm,
I read Old Head. It's
yes.
fucking fantastic. It's so good. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I loved every second of it. I am 2 issues down into Godzilla Monster Theater,
Mm.
and goddamn, what a delight! The art is perfect for it.
Oh, I love Scioli. It's the same guy who did American Barbarian, which I know I let you.
Yeah, that was also very good.
And I, if you're interested, I don't know how it will hit for somebody who's not as versed. Maybe it won't matter, but he did it. He did 12+ issues of GI Joe versus the Transformers for IDW, and it is bonkers.
I'm always
It's
interested in
so
trying some of that stuff. I'm very interested in, like, I just see it. I'm not, I don't know if I mean, I'm just buying trades anyway. But like the new like Energon verse shit they got going on, because like Mask is in it and GI Joe and Transformers and all that stuff. I'm intrigued how that all fits together, because I always felt like Mask felt GI
there
Joe
is there is no
adjacent.
Mask actually yet. So IDW did some stuff with Mask, and it was very shoehorned in. Uh,
Uh,
but the current stuff at
to
Image,
me, like
Mask yet.
Miles Mayhem should just be another terrorist. It should just be
Yeah,
like
that's kind of how they did it. But they're like, oh no, he was part of Adventure Team, and it's that, and then I don't know, and the Micronauts are there, and
see. I think you got to be really careful with going like too deep into sci-fi with that stuff. Like
yeah. Well, that
Transformers,
was
I can
that
be like,
was the big thing with IDW and the way, because like they had built out their Transformers universe, and then they kind of had a GI Joe stuff over there, and they weren't really together. And then all of a sudden they like put them together, so it kind of fucked up the continuity of the Joe stuff. It's like, well, wait a second, like,
they were doing all the Chuckles stuff, right?
yes, and
Because
that
I've
was
heard great
great.
stuff. I heard great stuff about that.
Yeah, that was great. But like the main stuff, I think was Chuck Dixon, and I tried a little bit of it and did not stick with it. Um,
Chuck Dixon is,
yeah. Anyway, so the but yeah, it kind of was like, oh no, that like this GI Joe stuff has always been happening. We just haven't told you about that. That it was also this robot shit was happening at the same time, with like Megatron literally taking over Earth. It's like, well, that doesn't work. So they kind of shoehorned it together, and some of the stuff that they pulled out of it was actually kind of interesting. Um, but by and large, like I just stuck with the Hama continuity, and then the Transformer stuff, and where it crossed over, and the Micronauts and ROM and all that stuff. It's like, no, you don't need to do that.
yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't just have a sci-fi universe and then like a more like Earth-based
I
stuff.
don't think it's a problem, like, and that's why I think the current Image stuff is working better, is because like it was built that way from the start.
Yeah,
Problem with the IDW stuff is it's like, okay, we're like several years into this like Transformers universe and this Joe universe, and we're going to kind of smash them together now. And also the ROM and the Micronauts and this and that and another thing are all also here. So it was
yeah.
just a lot all at once. Um, so yeah, it didn't really work very well for me.
It didn't grab.
Yeah, which is, I mean, a bummer, because their Transformer stuff is great. And that was some of the, yeah, like I said, some of the stuff they did in there was really interesting. But I was like, oh yeah, you managed to get 6 issues out of an Action Man book, great. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's and that's all I got to say about that. Like yeah. I mean, you've got the license, I guess, so you're going to do what you got to do. But
yeah, yeah. Um, just chuckling at this post from a wrestler. These pro wrestling reunion events are a great opportunity to show gratitude to the veterans who paved the way for you. Additionally, it's a great opportunity to accidentally walk in on them in the bathroom because they forgot to lock the stall.
yeah, I mean, everyone wants a glimpse of Lee Lanny's business.
No.
Most assuredly not. Uh, Matt-Hew, where can people find you doing cool stuff?
I'm here most Sundays. I'm on the Dave Wonder channel every other Tuesday. He is still in Alaska this week, so I will not be there for this.
I didn't know Dave was in Alaska.
Yeah,
So
he got invited up to a con up there. So him and they you know paid for or anyway. So I went with him. So they're having a little vacation up
holy
in
shit, that's super cool. Yeah, I just messaged back and forth with him like 3 days ago, and that never
yeah.
came
So
up.
they're up there now. I think they come back Thursday. So he's not doing
Oh yeah,
any streams this week. So I am also off. And but yeah, I'll be back next week probably. And yeah, that's it.
sweet. Um, Tomorrow night, Star Wars. Like I said,
War Among the Stars.
there'll be some cool changey stuff going on with that. And then this week, I know we're doing Meng this week, but I don't know when.
Mm.
Um, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is all I probably would be my guess. Um, Colin has not definitively said which. And then I think that's it. I might try to sneak a batting games in. Batting games in. I don't know.
Yeah, you got your Moria crew.
Yeah, but we haven't been able to get together. I'm kind of burned out on Mori because I've been playing it by myself, and now I'm like,
Ah.
I mean, it's fun and all, but like now I'm kind of just like frustrated with it. I don't know. I'm just being whiny.
Okay, so sorry. This is some Blackagar Boltagon level shit here. Apparently, Hamburglar's full name is Hamilton B. Ergler. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. How that's going to fit into my conception of the world as it was.
So if I can't sell anyone on Chaos Scar, let me put it this way. Last Friday, they met a squirrel, two squirrels. Cassandra cast Speak with Animal to get information from them. Their names were Earl and I think Gary. And by the end of it, we found out that Gary's name was Gary Aloysius Poopy Hands.
All right.
Also, they both were very into magic mushroom. Oh God, I was like, this is what I'm doing with my life, and I have too much fun with it. So, yeah, that's where Chaos Scar has gone. That's how it. Oh yeah, there was a lot of dancing that went on. There was chewingas, there was jug bands, there was necklaces made of human teeth. Man, good times. Yeah. So that's how we roll over there on that. Like I said, I'm hoping at some point we'll see people want to like Brian. I know still wants to play, but he just can't play consistently. So whenever he's able to bounce back in, it's super cool. And then if other people are like, "Hey, I want to come in and play like a couple sessions," I'm always happy with that. Close. It's actually apparently they're based on I think it might be African folklore.
No.
But they're just cool either way. I find them cool. Anyway, so that's what we got on our plates coming up, and then we'll be back here next Sunday. I think we'll probably work on Star Wars after the fallout of Monday and start just trying to kind of piece together what we should do next for prep school. As soon as we get a date set for DC Showcase Presents, we will
Yes.
figure out how to kind of attack that a little bit differently. I think what I might do is once that's up, we might do on a prep school, go through and say, okay, let's do some trimmings. Let's because I'm excited about doing this murder mystery of who's trying to kill Vandal Savage. But the thing is, I also have like 15 suspects that I've done stuff with, so I need to bring it back in.
or start to have some ways to eliminate some of them quickly, but keep them in.
Well, in my head, part of me was thinking like, oh, this will just be a good way to use a flashback or a montage.
Ah, there you go.
But also, I don't want to then be like push that on anybody. I guess
Yeah.
my thought was like, well, I'll give them a montage for free. So that's the other reason I like games like that is because it's like we can use things like montages and flashbacks very effectively. That's a little harder to use in D&D. I need to work at it a little bit better to make it work. That's why I moved away from playing D&D so much. It's too goddamn fiddly. I want to just like not have to think as
Yeah.
about numbers as much and about like squeezing things as much. So, all right, kiddies, it's 11:18 Central Time. Go have some fun with your Sunday. Go, you know, just enjoy yourselves because tomorrow's going to come far too quickly. Um, so, Matthew, Bombas to all, and to all a good Bombas.